Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today's one is a favorite topic of mine. I want to talk into raising your standards, and ultimately this message today is all about the fact that high standards equal high rewards, and on the flip side of that, low standards equal just poor results and poor rewards, no rewards. And so that's really what I want to talk to with you guys today, because ultimately each and every one of us we're always looking to grow. If you're not growing, you're dying. We're always looking to get to that next level of our potential. We're always looking for more. We want to access more of our potential, more of our growth. And I want to ask you, have you ever felt like you've set a certain goal for yourself, but then ultimately you might make some traction, you might make some changes for a short period of time, but then you fall into bad habits again. Maybe you sabotage your success and you fall into these old ways of being that take you away from the growth that you've started to generate. And this is what I want to talk to you guys about, because it's coming up with so many of my clients right now, and it's funny how we all seem to be going through the same things at the same time. And it called me to do this message for you guys today. And so many of my clients have been saying, how come I can make some traction? In the past I've made a bit of traction, but then then I want to come back to this comfort zone, and I want to, as soon as I progress a little bit, it's like I think I don't have to do anymore, and so I can just kind of slip back. And ultimately this is your standards. And I love what Tony Robbins, how he talks into this in terms of your thermostat. So your thermostat, you have a certain temperature that is comfortable to you. And when you have that thermostat, when it's at that temperature, and you go a little bit higher, there's that part of you that's like, oh, this is uncomfortable. It's too hot in here. And you bring yourself back down to that comfortable temperature on the thermostat again. The same thing happens when your results are getting poor and you get too below your comfort zone of your standard, that you get forced into action to come back to that same temperature on the thermostat. And this is your standards. And I'm not joking with you guys. If you don't raise your standards or change your standards, if you don't take care of that, then raising that temperature to what's comfortable to you, ultimately it doesn't matter what goals you set for yourself. You'll make a little bit of traction, and then you'll get caught in the cycle of bringing yourself back down to what's comfortable to you. So ultimately you've got to focus on what your standards are. So I want you to think about where in your life right now, which area of your life do you want different results and you just haven't been getting them? And maybe you have in the past made a little bit of traction, but then you've come back. Maybe you've had a health goal and you've said to yourself, okay, I want to lose 10 kilos, and then you get all, because your comfort zone is maybe at this weight, right? And then you start putting on a bit too much weight, and you're starting to think, well, hang on. Well, actually it's lower. You're lowering your standards because you're putting on this extra weight, and it's starting to feel really uncomfortable. And then you're like, no, it springs you into action. You get motivation and you're like, no, I'm going to lose this weight. And then you know what happens? You start, you get the trainer, you get the diet, you get to the gym each day or whatever you do, and you start making these changes. And then you know what? You start seeing results. And then you know what? If you haven't raised your standard as to who you currently are going to shift into, so you don't fall into past patterns, if you haven't raised your standard and you're just trying to get back to your current comfort zone, then ultimately you get back to there and you plateau and you go back to sitting on the couch and thinking you've earned that chocolate bar or whatever your go-to is that's preventing you from really having the body of your dreams. And the same thing is true in every area of your life. So I really hope that today's message is going to inspire you, and I'm going to give you some questions to ask yourself. But I want it to inspire you and remind you or wake you up to the fact that ultimately all of your results stem, and they can't go beyond your standards. Sorry, I lost my train of thought then for a second. But ultimately, your standard in any area of your life is the thermostat. So if you want a different result in any area, you've got to look at what are your standards in that area. So I want you to think, that I've just used a health example. It might even be in your career. Do you just get by with, doing the minimum that you have to do to keep your job? And ultimately what you'd really like is some meaning and some fulfillment in your career. Well, you've got to raise your standard, and you've got to say that you, who you are currently, who's just has this standard of just get the minimum done so I can keep my job and get my paycheck, which is totally unfulfilling and has no meaning, and you're selling your potential out, you have to know that that standard has to raise. That has to change. So we need to identify, what does a new standard look like? What result am I after? And what is the standard that I would need to set for myself about who I am and how I show up, and ultimately to get to that new level of standard? And this is going to take some work. This is really going to, it's like a car on dirt tracks, and you've been running these same dirt tracks for so long, that they're completely ingrained, and you don't even have to think about them anymore. You just get in the car and turn on the ignition and you drive, and you just keep running the same standard. And in order to make a shift in our standards, it's going to take work, it's going to take effort. You have to get off this path, these tracks that you've been running for so long, that are so easy to go down. They're so comfortable to just like cruise along and not have to think. You got to shift that car and create some new tracks, and it's going to take a bit of time. You're going to have to build consciousness around shifting, getting out of that comfort zone and creating some new tracks, some new fulfilling tracks. And that's all about raising your standards. So first of all, you've got to identify which is the area. You might want to go through all of the areas of your life, but start with one. Which area in your life right now is most pressing for some changes? Are you most fed up with? Are you most desiring a new result in? And ultimately identify that area. And then I want you to ask yourself, what is my current standard in this area? What is the result that I'm currently generating in this area? Be it my relationship, my health, my career path, my finances, whatever it is, whichever area it is that you're looking to have some change in. Ask yourself, okay, what are my current results? And what is my current standard that is keeping me generating the same result over and over again? No matter whether I decide I'm going to make a bit of a change here and I make a little bit of traction, but ultimately I fall back to square one into old habits, what is my standard that is keeping me in these set of results? So you've got to identify that. It's all about building this self-awareness, and then you have to ask yourself, well, what do I actually want in this area? What am I looking to create in this area? What is my vision in this area? If I could have it all my way, what would this look like? What would my health look like? What would my relationship look like? What would my career look like? How would I be feeling? All of those different things. And then you need to ask yourself, well, okay, now I've identified what's the vision in this area, what I really want to create. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what sort of standard would I need to be setting for myself and living by on a daily basis that would ultimately get me to that result if I'm consistent? And then finally, you have to ask yourself, what habits can I bring into my daily life that will help me to up level my current standard here? What does that look like? You've got to make it actionable, and then you've got to commit and follow through. And maybe you need an accountability partner. Maybe you need a coach. Maybe you need somebody in your corner. Do what you got to do to get the right people in place, people that you trust, people who are going to support and challenge you. And if you don't have that person in your life, I would really invite you to come on over and join us in the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community. You have got access to a beautiful bunch of like minds who want to support, encourage, and challenge you to stay on track and reach a new level of your potential, to step up and raise your standards, to stop living in mediocrity and start chasing the extraordinary. So make sure that you click on the link above and join it. I'll request to join. I'll approve you once I get off this video. We'd love to have you a part of that, and let us know in the group, how are you going to let us know these answers to these questions? How are you going to up level, and how can we help and support you and help you to keep yourself accountable so that you can ultimately get there? Sometimes we just need other people's support in order, it's that whole saying, because ultimately a lot of the time we'll do more for others than we'll do for ourselves. So when we have somebody that we've got to check in with, or if you want to check in with the group there, then ultimately that can be the difference between you getting yourself off the couch to the gym and not, and then ultimately reaching your potential or not. So that really is my message for each and every one of you guys out there today. I hope that it's resonated with you. I hope it's got you really thinking about what your standards are. And I'm serious about raising your standards. When you raise your standards, you raise your rewards. So make sure that you're tapping into this and you're not staying stuck in the old habitual cycle of making a change, but you haven't changed your standards. So you're always just going to reach this comfort zone and you're never going to improve. You're never even going to get better than that. And if you do, you'll only do it for short periods of time before you bring yourself down because you haven't done the work to raise your standard, which is the determining factor in you gaining and generating different results and sustaining success in the long term. So that is it. I'm going to check in with each and every one of you guys. Make sure you're tuning in and saying hi, because I can't see who's been able to join me, so I can't even say hi unless you've left me a comment. And I'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions or comments, drop them below now so I can engage with you. And who have I got? Alexandra, I'm always so thrilled when you can join me live. Thanks so much for being here. And Gustavo's back. I love it. And Jessica, awesome. And Davude, thanks for being here. And Aaron, much love to you. And Aaron, raising your standards is changing the way you think about yourselves in relation to the object of change. Absolutely. And I'm so grateful that you bring that juicy piece of wisdom into the conversation today, Aaron. You're an absolute superstar, and definitely you are so on point. And Damien's here. I've started a new course in Cert 2 and Cert 3 in civil construction. Absolutely enjoying it. That's awesome, Damien. I love that you are upping your standards and educating yourself in an area that you're passionate about. That is super awesome to hear, and thanks so much for sharing. And definitely, Alexandria, generating momentum is everything. And if you don't raise your standard, you only generate momentum to that comfortable place on the thermostat. You don't get beyond that. So absolutely. And Judy is here. Hello to you. And Esther from Spain. Awesome, guys. It is so awesome to always check in with you guys, and I love having you guys join me. I know there's so many more of you guys who have joined me, but I can't see who you are, so I can't say hi. But Damien, when are you back in Melbourne? I'm actually heading home on the 11th of December. So after the Tony Robbins Date with Destiny event, which I'm so super pumped to go to, and I cannot wait to continue to bring these live videos to you while I'm at the event. I can't wait to share the experience with you guys. But yeah, I think I arrived back in Melbourne on like the 13th with the time difference and everything. So I'll be back for December, and I'm not sure if I'm coming back here or when I'm coming back, but yes, I'll be back home in beautiful Melbourne for some sunshine. And yes, so guys, that is it from me today. I am sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I've got Tumas from Estonia. Thanks so much for being here. And I am sending you guys all of my love. And if you have any way in which you feel that I could be adding more value to you guys, I would so appreciate hearing from you. That's why I do these messages. It's I rely on you guys to help me keep my finger on the button and the pulse of really what's valuable to you guys, what's meaningful, what's important. So definitely let me know if you have any ideas as to topics you'd like me to talk into, or any questions that you have and you'd love for me to record a video for you. Just let me know. Send me a message or drop a comment below. And Crescente, I hope I got your name right, but from the Philippines. Awesome. I love that. I love hearing where you guys are from. It's so awesome. But that is it for me today, guys. I hope that you are inspired to identify what your current standards are in each area of your life and ultimately raise those standards. When you raise your standards, you raise your rewards and you reach a new level of your potential. And on that note, if you haven't joined the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community, make sure you click on the link above and definitely request to join. I'll approve you shortly. So that's it from me, guys. Much love. See you guys tomorrow.